I have no doubt that you all will feel very lucky to have come here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shiv Khera to all of you.
I didn't know that. And they were talking of relationships. And today's relationships are in such a manner which says, love at first sight, divorce at first fight. And that is what really it is. Mobile in your hands. Everybody take it out, please. Okay, everybody take it out. Okay, now, could I request all of you, take your mobile up, kindly switch it off, please. Kindly switch it off. Kindly switch it off. Folks, if I have my mobile in my hand and every 10 minutes I keep fiddling, would it be courteous to you people? Hello? Okay, can we practice courtesy both sides, please? All right. And the lady introduced Mr. Gurucharan Das as a Chandigarh connection. Folks, I can't stay behind. My wife is from Chandigarh, so I do have a connection here. But interestingly, I learned, I got married when I was 23. And many times people ask me, wasn't that a little too early in life? And my answer is, if I had a rewind button in my life, I'd get married probably 3 years earlier to the same lady. Folks, and many times my wife and I would talk, and I say, look, next birth, I'm going to get married to you. She says, so would I, but we'll have something different. I said, what's that? She says, I'll be the man, you'll be the woman. I said, why is that? She said, I want to give you back something for your own doses I have to give you back. All right, folks, all of you are here on a Sunday morning because you want to be here, not because you have to be here. One time, Mama called Johnny and said, son, get up, you got to go to school. Johnny said, I don't want to. Mama said, you got to. Johnny said, I don't want to. Mama said, you got to. Johnny said, Mama, there are 100 teachers in school. Nobody likes me. And there are 1,000 students in school. They all hate me. Give me one good reason why I should go to school. Mama said, son, I'll give you 2 reasons. One, you are 40 years old. And number 2, you are the principal of the school, you better go. All right, so you are here because you want to be here, not because you have to be here. Well, folks, let me talk to you about my new book, You Can Achieve More, which was launched in London just about 2 months ago in Toronto. And, of course, last month in Delhi. Oh, sorry, in Delhi and, of course, in Chandigarh. The title of the book is You Can Achieve More. It was a tough one to pick this title. It is a companion to my previous book, You Can Win, where the title happens to be Winners Don't Do Different Things, They Do Things Differently. But You Can Achieve More really meant no matter what stage we are in life, we can still do more. No matter what stage in life we are, we can still do more. Folks, all of you remain seated. Now I would request all of you, get your right hand up all the way as far as you can. Get your right hand up as far as you can, as far as you can, as far as you can. Okay, now watch as far as you can, as far as you can. Now do one thing. Please take it half inch more, half inch more, half inch more. See, everybody got half inch additional. I first said, get it as far as you can, but then I said half inch more and you did. What do you see it? Didn't you hear I said, get it as far as you can, but how come you didn't? This is the way we live in life. One, and number 2, the subtitle of the book is Live by Design, Not by Default. The message behind is We ought to live a happy, meaningful, fulfilling life. That's by design. There's gratification, there is fulfillment. You see, that is success without fulfillment. Fulfillment is empty. That's like good looks without goodness. They become irritating after some time. Are you with me? Hello? They become irritating. So we gotta have substance over form, not just form over substance. So that is one, live by design, not by default. But if we live by guilt, remorse, resentment, we are living by default. But then in life, who doesn't have guilt? Who doesn't have remorse? And who doesn't have resentment? We all have it. Everybody has it because we all made mistakes in life. Who didn't? But you see, if we live that way ongoing basis, then we are living by default. If that's the way we live. But now coming back, the header at the back of the books, You Can Achieve More, says, if you want to stand out, you need to do something outstanding. Are you with me? If you want to stand out, you need to do something outstanding. And the first sentence in the book says, a person with a positive attitude cannot be stopped. And a person with a negative attitude cannot be helped. It is so true. Many times you hear people saying, I want to live an extraordinary life. I want to have an extraordinary income. I want to have extraordinary success. They need to ask, do you have extraordinary enthusiasm in life? Do you have extraordinary excitement in life? They need to ask, do you have extraordinary integrity in life? Do you have extraordinary enthusiasm? Do you have extraordinary relationships in life? Are you willing to work extraordinarily hard in life? If you're not willing to do any of these things extraordinary, you can never have an extraordinary life. Are you with me? You can never, never, never have anything extraordinary. That means before you get anything, we got to be something. Many times when people see a success story, you know what they say? Must be at the right place at the right time. This is an incomplete sentence. In my book I have mentioned there, being at the right place at the right time is important, but incomplete. You got to be the right person at the right place at the right time. If you are not the right person, you could still be at the right place at the right time and do nothing in life. Are you with me? You could do nothing in life. So, we need to be the right person at the right place at the right time. Since today is the book part, let me address more things from the book here. January 1973, I remember very distinctly, we had coal mines in India. They got nationalized. We had close to 1,000 people working. And when the mines got nationalized, it was only 4 weeks after I got married. 4 weeks after. Now some people are calculating my age, but that's your problem. Folks, some families had money. Our family did not. My father had died when I was just about finished college. We were left with the liabilities and the assets were gone. And I tried my hands on 3 businesses with no money, and I failed in all. November 13, 1975, I left India, went to Toronto, rented a 1-bedroom apartment. We were sleeping on the floor. We had no furniture. And I started life with a bucket in my hand, washing cars door to door. And then I saw an ad in the paper. You want to make some extra money, do the door-to-door demos for vacuum cleaners. So I said, great. Daytime I'll wash cars, evening time I'll do the demos. And there were a couple of hundred people. They gave us a pep talk, and they said, go do the demo, and every demo you do, you get paid $5. Folks, I was genuinely naive. I actually believed we only had to do the demo and not to sell. I used to go to an apartment building, knock a door, and the lady and the man used to open. I used to say, sir, you don't have to buy the vacuum cleaner. All that you got to do is take a demo and I'll get paid $5. So some people took pity, let me come in. Some people kicked me out. One day I was doing a demo in an Indian family's home, and the man and woman were sitting on the sofa, and I was on the floor. And this man, instead of looking at the vacuum cleaner, he kept looking at me all the time. So I asked him, sir, did I do something wrong? He said, no. I said, why do you look at me this way? He asked me, Shiv, have you ever sold life insurance? I said, man, what kind of question is this? I'm demoing vacuum cleaners here. I said, I've never sold life insurance, and besides, I never will. Because I remember back home in India, that agent, that pest, who used to come to my home, would not leave my life for 3 hours till I signed the application. I said, I will never be that pest in my life. He said, no, Shiv, it doesn't work that way here. Look at me, I'm a life insurance agent. Look at my lifestyle. I drive a Lincoln, the most expensive car in the US. Later on, I came to know he was working for MetLife. And they had a recruitment drive going on. If you recruited a new salesperson, you would get a Samsonite briefcase, so I was there. Well, folks, I finished the demo. I left. Now, when you cannot go straight, you go the other way around. We were living in the same building. And somehow his wife became friendly with my wife and convinced her that selling life insurance was the right thing to do. My wife also knew we couldn't go through life washing cars. We had to do something different. I had a family to support. I had a little daughter. And my wife also knew my failure record in life was pretty good. Even in school, I wasn't the brightest kid. I was the backbencher troubling the front benchers. And in my 8th grade, out of 6 or 7 subjects, I failed in all except one. So my principal called me and said, Shiv, you're paying too much attention on one subject. Folks, out of 28 kids, I was number 27 because the 28th was absent. No kidding. My principal used to call my parents and tell them, get this kid out of the school. He's one kid who's going to bring the average of the school. I was bringing the average down. I told her, I said, I'm not selling life insurance. She said, Shiv, to sell life insurance, you got to take an exam. Why don't you take the exam, and if you pass, you have a choice. Right now, you have no. I said, all right, I'll take the exam. And folks, I took the exam, and guess what? I passed. And this person who got all this started took me to his office, introduced me to his district manager. It was a very sharp elderly man by the name of Giovanni. As I walked in, he congratulated me, and he said, I'll make you an offer, I'll give you time to think. He said, if you become a life insurance agent right now, I'll give you a draw of $150 a week. And he says, you got time to decide before I withdraw the offer. And he said, you got 30 seconds. I said, Joe, you said you'll give me time to think. He said, you have 20 left now. I said, I'll take it. And now I became a life insurance agent, which I never in my life wanted to be. They gave me the book, gave me a little training, and they said, boy, go sell. And for the next 3 months, I went out selling, folks. I put in 100%. Why 100%? I actually put in 200%. We all can tell when we've done our best. We all can tell when we've not done our best. I can look at the mirror and say, I did my best. And guess what? I broke the company's, say it loudly? Yeah. Record. You're not impressed, are you? You are? Well, wait till you find out which record I broke. How many sales I made? Almost none. So my manager called me right back. And he says, I've been in this life insurance business 35 years. And he said, I've seen some slow starts in my life. He said, but I've never seen one like you. What he said after that, I'm not going to repeat because I'm being recorded. But he said, don't come back tomorrow, you're fired. I said, Joe, wait a minute, man. Hear me out first. I'm not an educated person. I'm not a doctor, engineer, attorney, accountant. I'm a BCom 3rd division, failed in my 10th. I had to repeat my class. And I said, I got a handicap. How do you expect performance out of me? Folks, when I said that, somebody spoke very harshly to me that day, and I'm glad he did. And later on I realized it was not anger, it was concern. And here's what he said to me that day. He said, you shut up and listen to me. He didn't say this politely, by the way. He shouted at me. And he said, you shut up and listen to me. He said, you don't have a handicap, you got a bad attitude. He said, it is people like you who not only ruin their own lives, but they also ruin their family's life too. He said, do you know who has a handicap in life? He said, the doctor, engineer, attorney, accountant, they all have handicaps in life. Boy, I never heard that one. How do they have handicaps? He said, go check out all over the world. It is generally true. They all have chosen their field, their stuff. Generally true. They all have chosen their field, they're stuck. And he says, you haven't chosen your field, don't you see? The world is open to you. I said, Joe, I never thought from that point of view. He said, now that you're fired, he said, you've got all the time to think. He said, leave my office. So 44 years ago, I left his office that day. But that night, obviously, I understood what happened. I realized one thing, that I was my own biggest problem. That night I had an appointment about 30 miles away. While I was driving, having failed one after the other in my life, that night I was feeling so depressed. It's not easy, folks. I was feeling so depressed. I don't know what happened to me. I just burst out into crying. I was driving, crying, driving, crying, driving, crying. Folks, that night, that 30-mile distance seemed like 30 years. I kept praying. I couldn't understand what was going on in my life. I had a family to support, didn't know how to do it. I had a little daughter. 7 o'clock, I reached my appointment. I got a handle on myself, went up, started selling. I got in at 7. By the time the man looked at his watch, it was 11:30. 4.5 hours I was sitting in the man's place. No wonder they call life insurance agent pests. I still had not made a sale. He says to me, do you realize what time it is? I have to go to work tomorrow morning. It's a polite way of saying get out. But somehow I wasn't moving that night. He looked at me, I looked back at him. I don't know what happened at 11:30. He asked me, what does it take to get rid of you right now? What does it take to get rid of you right now? I thought he was asking me the rates. I opened the book back again, looked at his age, looked at the factor, multiplied with insurance, and I said, sir, that'd be $27.58. He said, what? I said, $27.58. He looked at me disgustingly. And he says, if it was $27.58, why didn't you tell me 4.5 hours ago? He wrote me a check, and he says, take this and get out before I change my mind. Folks, that was one of our first sales. Came home midnight. Next morning, I went to my office. And I went to my manager, and I said, Joe, I got an application today. It is a small one, but it is a bound one with a check, because without a check has no meaning. And I said, Joe, will you let me stay? And I said, if you fire me today, I don't know where to go. And the only place I know where to go is go back to washing cars. And I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I got a family to support. I got a little daughter. I will not let you down because of my effort, but please withdraw the papers. He looked at me and he says, Shiv, that's not your small one, that's your big one. And he says, I'll let you stay here only if you make a commitment not to me, but to yourself. I'll let you stay. Folks, that day I made a commitment. And that was one of the turning points in my life. And he withdrew the papers. And folks, let me ask you, don't we all have some turning points? Yes, no? Yeah. He withdrew the papers that night. And that year I went ahead, sold close to $1 million. Next year, $3 million. The year after, $5 million. Moved on to the U.S. Got into 3 businesses. Bought out a company out of California in 1984. Started the New Jersey operation with no clients, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. Now, why do I share my life with you? For a few reasons. Number one, the last 45 years have not been that easy, folks. You know something? People look at you where you are, and they say, you must be lucky. They say, they don't see the struggle behind where you are, and they say, you must be lucky. Folks, that experience taught me a few lessons. I was on commission, selling life insurance. If I didn't sell, I wouldn't get anything. But there were many people in that office who were getting salaries, and they were not doing their jobs. And folks, that is where I learned one big difference in my life. And the big difference was, there is a huge difference between making money versus earning money. Are you with me? That is where I learned there is a big difference between making money versus earning money. And today, most people want to make money, very few want to earn money. And folks, that is where I learned making money is criminal, earning money is spiritual. Are you with me? And my friend, they don't teach such things. My 2 girls have been in college, did a master's in the US. They don't teach that stuff even at your Ivy League stuff. They don't. And that is where I learned one thing, that wages without work amounts to stealing. And it is not the wages part that a person is an employee. Even as a consultant, if I'm not doing my job right, I'm stealing. Folks, I just, day before yesterday, addressed a conference in Bombay on commodity exchange. Now, there are some people who are talking about competition today. And I said, never in the history of mankind has it been so easy to succeed in life the way it is today. Regardless of your profession, we have no competition. I said that twice. So one person at the far end nudged his partner and said, does the speaker start drinking first? How come we have no competition? Folks, I asked this man this one question, and I'm asking all of you people exactly the same question. So please listen carefully because you need to answer. And here's the question I asked. I asked him, and I'm asking you, folks, how many people do you know right now walking off the street who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for? How many? How many people do you know right now walking off the street who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for? How many? How many? How many? Ladies shaking her head like this. Hardly any. Thank you, sir. Hardly any. And I said, most people don't even want to do what they get paid for. And there's a secondary category of people who only want to do what they can get by with. There's a very small fraction of people who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for. And I asked him, if you fall into that category, I don't care what your profession is, tell me where's your competition. Folks, you can't even find a good attorney today. You can't even find a good accountant today. You can't find a good plumber. You can't find a good carpenter. Question is, are you willing to do a little bit more than what you get paid for? Folks, many of you have read probably thousands of books, and so have I. And especially the self-help books. And I found one thing. There is something common in people and organizations that have succeeded in life. One, they succeeded. Manish, they succeeded, those who have succeeded, one, and then they sustained success. Folks, success is one thing, sustaining success is another, yes, no. And they sustained success, and then they maintained goodwill. They all have lived by this one principle, that I shall always give more than what I get to my family. I shall always give more than what I get to my organization. I shall always give more than what I get to my customer. And I shall always give more than what I get to my society. And I said, if we live by this one little principle, you tell me, where's the competition? We have no competition. We become the competition. Folks, you heard my academics. And why do our clients hire us? And I'm grateful to God, I talk out of humility, we are booked for a year in advance. Why do our clients hire us? Not because we are the smartest people. There are many, many more qualified people than us. But our clients hire us only for one reason. Our commitment to them is never 100%. It is always, tell me, where's the competition? Where's the competition? They don't teach this stuff in schools and colleges, sir. I share with you folks, we opened our office in Singapore about 20 odd years ago. And whenever you go into any country, after you clear immigration and customs, who is the first person you meet? Always the? Who? Who? Taxi driver. Thank you, sir. Always the taxi driver. So I gave the taxi driver a business card to get me to a particular address. At the last point, he circled around the building. At the last point, he circled around the building, and he stopped the car. Meet 10. I said, Henry, your meter reads 11. How come you're taking 10? He said, sir, I'm a taxi driver. I'm supposed to be bringing you straight to your destination. Since I didn't know the last spot, I had to circle around the building. Had I brought you straight here, the meter would have read 10. He said, sir, legally, I can claim 11. But ethically, I'm entitled to only 10. Folks, to my knowledge, this taxi driver is only 8th grader. Only 8th grader. He understands the difference between legality and ethics. Many lawyers and judges need to learn from him. Are you with me? 8th grader. And he didn't stop there. He said, sir, tourism is big in Singapore. People come into our country for 3-4 days. And he said, if the first experience of the taxi driver is not pleasant, the balance 3 days is not very pleasant either. He said, sir, I am not a taxi driver. I'm an ambassador. I'm an ambassador of Singapore without a diplomatic passport. How do you like it? I am an ambassador of Singapore without a diplomatic passport. Folks, that taxi driver that I met 20 years ago, that day I hired him as literally I hired him as my manager in my Singapore office. That day I did. And after 20 years, he's still with me in my Singapore office. When I'm not there, he drives his taxi, but he takes care of everything for me right there. Can you imagine? He is more valuable to me than anybody out there. 8th grader who understands what we are talking. Now tell me, to understand this little thing, do we need a PhD? Do we need an MBA? You know the sad part? After doing PhD and MBA, they still don't understand this. That is the sad part. See, folks, we have created a program for schools and colleges, leadership program, and which says one needs more than professional qualifications to be a professional. Are you with me? Just having professional qualifications does not make a professional. To be the taxi driver is a professional. Folks, we got a client a couple of years ago for a consulting assignment in India with a Swiss collaboration. I got a call from the CEO saying, Mr. Khera, can you do some sales training for our people? So I told him, I said, sir, tell me what is the end result you're looking for. Let me see if I can deliver. If I cannot, go hire somebody else. But what training to do? I said, sir, that's my decision, not yours. He said, I want my sales going up. So I said, all right, give me a couple of days, let me check out your people. So which we did. 2 days later, I called the CEO and I said, sir, your people don't need sales training. I said, they need basic training in courtesy, etiquette, manners, integrity. He said, what? I said, yes, sir. Courtesy, etiquette, manners, integrity. He said, what does that mean? I said, many of your salespeople have appointments, they're running late. They don't even have the courtesy to call and say, I'm sorry, I'm running. You got late. And 3, they walk in late, and they don't even have the courtesy to say, I'm sorry I kept you waiting. And in case they call, what do they say on the phone? I'm stuck in traffic. Now don't get me wrong, traffic has become a real issue all over the world, that is true. But many times they leave only 5 minutes before the appointment and they blame it on traffic. Now, it has become a real issue all over the world, that is true. They don't have the guts and integrity to say, I'm sorry, I did start late. And we find only the first lie is difficult. Second becomes easier. Third becomes easier. Fourth becomes easier. And fifth becomes easier. And very soon you are dealing with a chronic liar who is a rascal. Are you with me? Hello? And tell me, if this is a starting point, rascal is a mild word. I checked the dictionary, folks. Folks, if this is a starting point, tell me how long will it last? And we find people who lie also steal. People who lie, they also steal. I'll share with you, I was doing a program, Bombay, at the Lalit Hotel. Right next to my bedside, there was a table, and on the table, there was a digital clock, which was nice. But digital clock in 5-star hotels, what do they cost? Maybe 100 rupees, maybe $2, I guess. But interestingly, right next to the clock, there was a big sign hanging like this. Sir, what does it say?
This clock is hotel property.
Say it loudly, sir.
This clock is hotel property.
This clock is hotel property. And next to the clock there was a little lamp, and it said, this lamp is hotel
Property.
property. Now folks, tell me, why do they write such things? I'm sorry, ma'am?
People must be stealing.
You think they take it by mistake? No. They take it. Now tell me, ma'am, the person who's staying there is paying $500 a night, $400 a night, $20,000. Is he poor, sir? Could be multi-millionaire, billionaire. He could even buy the hotel. But you know what? They pack up. Hello? They pack up. They pick up cutleries, crockeries, linens, towels, and cosmetic is okay. You know why? It's consumable. It is consumable. There's a difference. You see, that is, you pick up your soap, it's consumable because you throw it off. Now, I tell my people in my programs, you drink water. Many times people only take a sip and they leave the whole thing right there. I said, take it, man, or consume it or take it. That is not stealing. Hello? Because they're going to throw it away. But they pick up all these stuff and very proudly and smartly they say, show it to the kids, and they say, we collect souvenirs. Folks, I share with you, April 19, 2013, there was a global survey conducted. Sadly to say, it said Indians rank number 3 hotel item thieves in the world. Nothing to be proud of. Now, I wouldn't want to show such things in London or somewhere else, but you know something? This is information in public domain. And many times people say, this is a little lie, when the big one comes, I'll tell the truth. Folks, you heard this phrase, practice makes perfect? Yeah? How many believe it's true? Raise your hand, please. Yeah, incorrect answer. Folks, practice does not make perfect. Practice only makes permanent whatever we practice. I'm not playing on words. Practice only makes permanent whatever we practice. Folks, only perfect practice makes perfect. Some people keep practicing their mistakes and they become perfect in making mistakes. Again, I'm not playing on words. Folks, many times people say, this is a little lie, when the big one comes, I'll tell the truth. We practice enough little lies in life, and the big one comes, what happens? We end up telling the big lie. Many times people say, this is a little thing, when the big one comes, I'll show courage. You practice cowardice enough little things in life, and the big one comes, what happens? We end up being a big coward. Folks, anybody did martial art here? In martial art, when you get to white belt, and you're yellow, green, purple, brown, black belt, 5 years later, they're doing what? They're doing block punch, block punch, block punch, block punch, block punch. 5 years later, they're still doing block punch, block punch. Why? Because the teacher wants to get the block and punch into reflex action. Because the teacher realizes that if the student ever is in a street fight, if he has to think to block and punch, guess what will happen? He'll get beaten up. A martial arts student never has to think to block and punch. They never commit the blow till you commit. And after you commit, their reflexes move and they knock you off. I see some people from the defense services, sir. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brigadier Sahib. In the services, about 60 to 70% of the career goes in what? Simulation of warfare. Am I right, sir? Simulation of, what is simulation? They play war games as if there's a real war going on right now. Why? They want to bring into reflex action. Because they realize when there's a real war, if they have to think to fight a war, do you think they can ever fight a war? Answer is never. Folks, why do I share this with you? For one reason. If we have to think to do the right thing, we can never do it right. It must come automatic. It must become reflex action. How many times have you heard people saying, see, we have this little title, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Many times people ask me, what do they do differently? And my answer is, winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. I repeat, winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. And what are the things losers don't like to do? They're the same things winners don't like to do either, but they do it anyway. See, losers don't like to get up in the morning. Winners don't like to get up in the morning either, but they get up anyway. See, losers don't like to work hard. Winners don't like to work hard either, but they work hard anyway. They form the habit. See, how many times have you heard, तब इसकी जो किस्मत अच्छी है मिट्टी को हाथ लगाता है सोना हो जाती है, इसकी किस्मत खराब है साहब तो सोने को हाथ लगाता है मिट्टी हो जाती है. If you analyze, well, maybe the statement is true because you analyze the person we call lucky. Every time he touches dirt becomes gold. Positive behavior has become habitual. Every time they do it, they just do it right. Their reflexes move right. And same thing with the person we call unlucky. The negative behavior has become habitual. That has become habitual. Every time they do it wrong. See, folks, I don't care how old we are, our parents said one thing, form good habits and habits form characters, because our characters are nothing else. 90% of our behavior is habitual. If we have positive habits, we are a positive character. And if we have negative habits, we are a negative character. And good habits are hard to come by, but they're easy to live with. And bad habits come easy, but they're hard to live with. And before we got the habits got us. Yes, no. The habit has got us. Folks, I took the mic a little late, but can I continue for a few more minutes? Okay. Achieve more. While I was in Toronto, I heard Dr. Norman Vincent Peale was coming there, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. I went in, there were close to 1,000 people, and Dr. Peale must have been 85 or more at that time, and his height was this, 4'11", 5 maybe, with shoes maybe 5'1". But the way he spoke that day, with the enthusiasm that he had, that day, I changed the definition of height. Folks, you never measure a person's height neck down. Always measure height neck up. Are you with me? And he looked at 1,000 people with great confidence, but that confidence had humility. Because any confidence that is lacking humility amounts to arrogance, yes, no. Yes. And he said, it appears that you people don't have any problem. You're sitting so calm and comfortable. So he asked, does anybody have problem? Who doesn't? Everybody raise their hand. We have problems. And then he said, how many people would like to get rid of their problems? Again, everybody raised their hand. And then he said, just 2 blocks away, on my way here, I saw some people relaxed, lying down, stretched out. All of these people, they did not have any problem. How many people would like to know where it is? Everybody again raise their hand. He said 2 blocks away from here, there is a cemetery. And there are people lying there all stretched out, relaxed. They don't have any problems. How many people would like to get rid of the problem? Everybody put their hand in their pocket. Nobody raised their hand. Then Dr. Peel said that day, he said, problem is a sign of life, remember. Problem is a sign of life. And so long as we are alive, we shall have problems. And the day we don't have problems, we'll be dead. And he said, when you're running short of problems, watch out. And that's the time he said, get on your knees and pray to God and say, man, if you stop trusting me anymore, send me some problems. Folks, but then he said, we cannot solve all our problems, but we can handle them. And folks, 40 years ago, the prayer, he gave a prayer that day, which was not his either. It was somebody 2,000 years ago. He gave a prayer. And since the last 40 years, I have not left my home without that prayer. And I'm going to share that with you tonight. If you want to take this down, please do, and many of you might have heard it. It is called the Serenity Prayer. And to me, it is literally the crux of life. And here's what he gave the prayer that day. He said, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. Folks, amazing prayer if you analyze. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. There are some things beyond we cannot change. I didn't choose my parents, neither did you. I didn't decide where I was going to be born, neither did you. Granted, some people are born deformed. Sometimes bad things do happen to good people for no fault of their own. That is true. And he said, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. I cannot change the color of my skin. If this is my height, I can't be 6'10". That's the way it is. But many times in life, we keep fighting the things we just cannot change, and we bring stress into our lives, and our productivity in life goes. Are you with me? It goes down. What we cannot change, let me accept graciously, not grudgingly. Now that doesn't mean that we become a fatalistic person. Doesn't mean that at all. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know what I can and what I cannot. So when I wrote my book, You Can Achieve More, I took this one step further, and I said, life is full of choices, and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but really not. If I ill-treat you, I've chosen to ill-treat in heaven. If I treat you with discourtesy, I've chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? If I eat too much, I've chosen to be obese, haven't I? Folks, if I tell the truth, I've chosen to be a credible person, haven't I? If I exercise, I've chosen good health, haven't I? Are you with me? See, folks, every choice in life has a trade-off and a payoff. I repeat, every choice in life has a trade-off or a payoff. See, the Olympic athlete who wins a gold medal, who practices 4 hours a day, he could watch TV 4 hours a day. He chose not to. Choice. Every choice in life has a trade-off and a payoff. Are you with me? life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Now, I think I need to wind up. Is that right, sir? Yeah. Folks, the press asked me, which was the book that influenced you the most in life? And my answer was, the life history of the 10 Sikh gurus was the book that influenced me the most in my life. Why is that? And especially the 10th guru, who said one thing very clearly, zulm karna paap hai, zulm sehna usse bhi bada paap. And he had no problem in picking up the sword to protect integrity. I repeat, what good is integrity if we don't have the guts to protect it? It is useless. I repeat, what good is integrity if we don't have the guts to stand up and protect it? It's useless. You have no integrity. And I just want to close with one thing. Indian Oil is a client of mine. I was coming back from their facilities to the airport in Assam. My assistant was in front. I was at the back reading a book. All of a sudden, the driver hit the brakes so hard, the car came to a screeching halt, and my assistant went flying one side, my book went flying the other side. And I asked him, भैया क्या हो गया? बोले साहब बिल्ली रास्ता काट गई. So I asked him कि अब शगुन होता है, कुछ नुकसान हो जाएगा अगर हम चले जाएंगे. तो मैंने कहा भाई मेरी फ्लाइट अगर मिस हो गई तो बहुत नुकसान हो जाएगा. तो मैंने उससे पूछा कि भैया बताइए अब कब तक गाड़ी रोकोगे? कहता है जब तक कोई दूसरा निकल नहीं. Then I asked him कि भैया फिर उसका नुकसान हो जाएगा? बोले उसकी प्रॉब्लम, that's his problem. मैंने उसको पूछा कि मैंने कहा भैया एक बात बताओ, मान लीजिए आप 15 अगस्त पहले होते और बिल्ली निकल चुकी होती और आपने बिल्ली को ना देखा होता तो आप ही सीधे चले जाते and then you would have been the first one. मैंने पूछा कि साहब तब क्या होता? As if he had done research on the billy. Within 2 seconds he gave me an answer. साहब बिल्ली की पावर कम हो जाती. साहब आप लोग हंस रहे हो, जानते हैं पढ़े लिखे PhD यही कुछ कर रहे हैं. पढ़े लिखे PhD यही कुछ कर रहे हैं. And sadly, the Indian media that has done the biggest disservice to our country. Every newspaper, every TV channel that you open up, what do you see? Horoscope. Horoscope. बढ़िया शास्त्री जी तिलक लगा के बेटा नाम बोलो, कहां से बोल रहे हो बोलो, जन्मतिथि बोलो, टाइम बोलो. गुरुजी पता नहीं, बोले कोई बात नहीं मैं निकाल लूंगा. And then he does a little tick 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 and then he says, अरे भाई दूसरा तीसरे पे चढ़ा हुआ है, तीसरा चौथे पे चढ़ा हुआ है, चौथा पांचवें घर पे बैठा हुआ है, वो छठे के घर में बैठा हुआ है. पितृ दोष, पुत्री दोष, पति दोष, पितनी दोष, कुछ ना कुछ होएगा आपको. अरे भाई दूसरा तीसरे के घर में जाके बैठेगा तो कुछ ना कुछ होएगा. फिर कहता है शनि चढ़ा हुआ है. बोलो बस शनि का उतारने का उपाय. बोले काला रुमाल लो, उसमें काली दाल डालो, उसको काला काजल लगाओ, फिर काले बाल वाला आदमी खोजो, उसके बाद सांप वाली खोपड़ी में घुमाओ, फिर काला कुत्ता खोजो और काले कुत्ते को खिलाओ, काले कौवे को खिलाओ और काला बर्तन से उसको दूध पिलाओ. सब मेरे को एक बात बताओ, शनि उतारना चढ़ाना इतना आसान है, शनि अमेरिका क्यों नहीं जाता? शनि अमेरिका क्यों नहीं जाता? और दूसरी गल है दसो मैनू कि ये ना सौखा काम है जे उतारना चढ़ाना ते शनि नूं भेजो पाकिस्तान ब्रिगेडियर साहब सब नूं खत्म करवा दो सारे टेररिस्ट मर जाएंगे। You know something? It is weakening people. We had Anand College for my daughter. And one thing Guru Nanak fought was against superstition. वो कहना जी मंगली खेगा पत्रियां मलाइयां फिर कहना जी मंगली हो जाएगा कुछ हो जाएगा ये केले के पेड़ नाल ब्याह करा दो पहला फिर केले का पेड़ नहीं मिलता पीपल के पेड़ नाल ब्याह करा दो। What he says in Sikh families every wedding is done on a Sunday. Sunday suit नहीं करता Saturday कर देते हैं Saturday नहीं suit करता Friday कर देते हैं। Guru Nanak fought against superstition. Folks, if there's only one take home tonight, only one take home, we have to get out of this because this weakens people. Why? Because when things go wrong, instead of analyzing, understanding, learning from it, what mistake I made, you know what they say? It's not my fault, stars are not favoring me. And they keep repeating their mistakes again and again and again and again. Are you with me? They keep repeating their mistakes. And अंधविश्वास, total अंधविश्वास। और जाके बाबियां ने पैर फड़ देंगे नहीं कोई बाबा प्रीत कहता है प्रीत ही बेची जाओ कोई हनी बेची जाता है कोई हनी प्रीत बेची जाता है और उन्होंने पैर फड़ी जाते हैं सारे हुण बाबे सरकार चलाते हैं जी। हाँ जी बिल्कुल ठीक है। मैं एक छोटी जी गल ते इहनूं क्लोज करदा है। एक बार की होया एक व्यापारी सीगा वो गठरी लैके कपड़े बेचदा हुंदा सी ते जे मैं उमर बीती गई थक जांदा सीगा ते रस्ते च एक मंदिर आंदा सी ते उत्थे बह जांदा सीगा ते उत्थे जो पुजारी सी उन्हें तरस आ गया कि यार इहदी उमर बढ़ती जाती हैगी है ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਗਧਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਗਧਾ ਲੈ ਜਾ ਤੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਠਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਰੱਖ ਲਿਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋਇਆ ਵਪਾਰੀ ਚਲਾ ਗਿਆ ਗਧੇ ਤੇ ਗੱਠਰੀ ਰੱਖਣ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪ ਥੱਕ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਥੋੜੇ ਦਿਨਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਬਹਿ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਗਧੇ ਉਹ ਕੁਝ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਗਧਾ ਮਰ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਵਪਾਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਜਿੰਦੇ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੰਨੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਇਹਦਾ ਅੰਤਿਮ ਸੰਸਕਾਰ ठीक ही होना चाहिए। उन्हें उसकी समाधि बनाती समाधि बना के मोमबत्ती जलाती धूपबत्ती जलाती कह के घंटी बजाई जाता सी रस्ते एक कोई साहूकार रस्तों गुजर रहा सीगा उन्हें देखा कि भाई ये घंटी बज रही है सर अज यही कुछ हो रहा है इन्हों दी पूजा हो रही है। वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड लुक इट इज ऑन द राइटर साइड किसी की आस्था में असी दिल नहीं दुखाने वाली गल है लेकिन अंधविश्वास तो सानू दूर हटना है सो दैट वी मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड वी हैव टू बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल इन आवर ओन लाइफ विद दोज वर्ड्स। फोक्स मैं एक चीज़ कहूँगा मैनू पता नहीं कि मैं आज तुहानू कितना कुछ दिता है बट तुसी मैनू जो दिता है इट इज प्राइसलेस इट इज प्राइसलेस। यू नो व्हाई You have given your time. You have given your trust. आज तुसी भरोसे नाल इत्थे आए हो कुछ दिल विच भावना लेके आए हो तुसी अपना टाइम दिता है which is priceless because time is more precious than money in life. So I'm grateful to all of you and I wish you all the best and thank you very much.